or make a point about her question on social media surveillance, because I've opened the link and it says it was updated in July 2022. So despite it being updated, we were still spied on, and our social media accounts were tracked and screenshots were taken, and some of those officers still work here, and I'm included in that. I've seen the evidence. I've seen my tweets in other people's subject access requests. I was denied that right. I wasn't allowed to have access to those screenshots because I'm a counsellor, so I've asked again. I haven't had an acknowledgement of that subject access request, but I'm just looking through what it says. So despite this update, it gives all the reasons why they can look at your social media account, and nowhere in this document does it say that council officers can look at our social media and our Twitter accounts because they don't like us discussing our personal situation with our EHCPs and, you know, all the issues we reported to Ofsted. Nowhere in this document does it say that. So I want to know, you know, why, if it didn't happen as the council says it does, it said it didn't happen, why is the council settled with one parent? You know, they've been paid, there's settlement, there's a paper trail, so it did happen. We've seen the evidence, it's available publicly if you go and look for it, but the council still denies it happened. We were promised an independent investigation and we haven't had it.
So shall I comment on that? So, I mean, I can't comment, Kerry, on the things that you have or haven't been able to access because I don't know. You have to follow that yourself, but you need to follow the correct process. Otherwise, they will just push it back at you because it's about bureaucracy. What I would say about the case that you've raised is that settlements are a two-way street, and there will be reasons why those settlements happened. If somebody who is bringing a case doesn't wish to settle, then it's their right not to do that and to take it further if they felt that that was something that they could then win.
But it's there in black and white.
But the settlement was accepted.
But then why are council officers still denying it's happened? Jen's written questions and questions about this, and the officer responses are that they don't know about it. Well, it did happen. I've seen my tweets in somebody else's subject access request.
But then that's, Kerry, if you want to bring a case, then do that. If you want to follow it, then do that. I can't comment on things that have happened that you say you've seen. The other thing I would say about social media is that if somebody puts something in the public domain, it's not spying.
It is if it's someone's wedding photos.
If something's in the public domain, they have put it in the public domain.
In this document, that any of that can happen. Nowhere. I'm looking at it right now.
There are certain officers that whose role it is to do communication, and it would be perfectly acceptable for them to do that. There are other officers for whom it wouldn't be acceptable for them to be doing it.
Not excessive, accurate, kept up to date. And then further on down, it says, for example, it can be used to check some aspects of a service user's and or family associates account or current or recent events which might affect the safety of a child or children, as such as possible presence within the family environment of a person posing risk to children, presence of known risky behaviour such as drug and alcohol abuse, where there are reasonable grounds to believe that information given by the family as part of the assessment is misleading, untrue, the claimed separation of a couple where domestic abuse is known or a significant risk factor. Well, it doesn't say anywhere in there that, you know, some of the screenshots that or in the evidence pack says we can't work with these people. You know, how is that related to that?
I've not seen the evidence pack
It's,
because I
it's
wasn't involved with the case that was brought, but the case was settled, Kerry, and that was a choice.
It didn't happen though. There's evidence. It's publicly accessible. You can see the screenshots for yourself. Anybody in this room, anybody watching this, it's out there. There's a website where you can view it.
So what is it that you're asking for?
Well, my concern is that this did happen, and the council can deny it all they want. This did happen. This happened to us, a small group of us, parent carers, and we want assurances that this is not going to happen again, that it isn't still happening, and we want an inquiry into why it happened. That's what we were promised. You know, full council voted on it. We want answers.
So, I mean, there was a legal case, Kerry, that was settled, right? Now, that could have been taken further, and it wasn't. I don't know whether you were involved in that. If you weren't, then that's an avenue for you. I don't know.
My subject access request was categorically denied because they hold too much information on me. Now, I've resubmitted it. I know that I was spied on social media. I've seen my tweets in other people's subject access requests. So I know I was spied on. Those of us who were spied on, we all know. And it wasn't a short little snapshot. It was over a long period of time.
I mean, I can't comment on what you have or haven't seen. But what I can comment on is the settlement that was made. Now, if somebody still wishes to bring and ask and bring a case, then that's up to them to do that.
I can't do that if the council will not give me the information I've requested.
Well, that is partly why people bring in a lawyer.
Yeah, well, that takes time, money, and effort, doesn't it? And
Of course it does. Of course, I'm not disputing that, but there are ways that you can get SAR information.
I've gone down that avenue, and I'm still going through it. Still now, years later, and I'm still asking for information about my current situation. You know,
Then that would be a wider situation around releasing information. We make a note. I mean, I don't know what you've asked for. I don't know how long it's been going on for you. I simply don't know, and I shouldn't either. Really, I shouldn't be. Well, I mean, okay.
Yeah, I just thinking about all the families that were affected by this. We want some reassurances that this is still not still happening, and that there will be some kind of inquiry.
I don't know. You'd have to ask the previous administration as to what the motivation was. There isn't a motivation to be looking at social media accounts for parents other than where there is a legitimate reason and a legitimate concern around safeguarding, which is what you've just read out. What you've just read out is about safeguarding children, and that would be a legitimate investigation, but it would still only be the stuff that's in the public domain, because somebody wouldn't have access to stuff that isn't in the public domain.
Well, that's a matter of opinion, isn't it? Why some of the comments that were made by officers that still work here were blatantly, it was because we complained and they quite obviously didn't like us. That doesn't fit in with that. You can't just look at someone's social media because they've made complaints and because you don't like them.
I agree, and that isn't what that says. It says it's directly relating to safeguarding, isn't it?
Yeah, so saying we can't work with this person, and it does mention me as a counsellor by those officers. I've seen it.
Well, I would suggest that you take that up, Kerry, but I am not in a position to do that because it's your information. I can't do it on your behalf because it isn't about me. If you wish to have more information about what's written about you, then you need to follow those lines of inquiries because they're your rights. They're not mine.
It just gets denied. My latest one, they're not even being acknowledged.
Then go outside of the organisation and follow it up with the Information Commissioner would be my suggestion. But I'm not an expert in being able to access what it is to access information. But it certainly wouldn't. It's certainly not it's not going to be me that is in a position to do it, because it's not my information. It's not my. I don't have the rights to access stuff about you, like in the same way as I don't have about anybody else.
We were promised an inquiry. We voted on it. I didn't vote on it at full council, but all the other councillors in the room did, and it was overwhelmingly yes, we would have an inquiry, and then it's just not happened. Change of administration, and it's still not happened. So we're.
But the legal cases, and the legal cases have been settled.
One has. So.
I mean, there's one that we know about because it's been publicly stated that that's the case. So that's the only one that I'm in a position to be able to discuss with you in a public space. Anybody else want to comment on any of the public forum?